So let's get started right here as the last section. Johnny, you want to go into this one?
If you want to.
Of course I do. It's live. Yeah, I don't have my thing until 7:30.
Oh.
Okay. So as always, Johnny, the nice print is stuff we can put up on the screen as I read it. And this is about elections because they said we can't talk about elections. So what does the Convo Couch do? We double down. We'll talk about elections. One of the biggest issues with America's post-election process is that they lack the checks and balances across the board. The mainstream media and certain legislators nefariously dupe the public into thinking that post-election process have adequate recounts and audits by constantly repeating the establishment's narrative. There were 3 counts already. They already had an audit. Hey, didn't Trump lost Georgia for the 4th time? The truth is, the post-election process is just as big of a scam as the election itself. Take Maricopa County in Arizona, for example. Right now, the Arizona State Senate is in an all-out battle with the Maricopa County Board of Supervisors to obtain data in order to conduct a third-party independent audit in the second-largest county in the U.S. However, the Board of Supervisors keeps denying the state Senate access to the machines and the data, claiming they have done 4 audits and that should be sufficient enough. The state Senate says that these audits are not legit and haven't backed down. A lot of election integrity activists are paying close attention to what's going on in Maricopa because they really haven't had sufficient audits anywhere this general election.
For the people who don't know anything, what do you mean the audits aren't real?
Well, we're going to get into that because we have some stuff to explain exactly what's going on. You know, a lot of people say all the time, the mainstream media repeats it. Well, Georgia just had their 3rd recount. Wisconsin had 2 recounts. Pennsylvania had 3 recounts. There was an audit in Michigan and stuff like that. But what they are is they're really not real audits. I mean, a real audit means you go in there, you look at the ballots, you see if they're legit, you see if the signatures are legit, you check them to make sure they're on the registration poll, you do all the checks and balances, which should be done anyway in every single election whatsoever. In the case of Arizona, and this is when you understand election laws, a lot of counties don't want to give up the ballots, the actual paper ballots, because they're trying to protect what they say the privacy of the voter. So what a person like Robert Brakey, who's been known as the Brakey method, is he's kind of brought light to the election integrity activist world years ago that all the tabulation machines that count 95% of the ballots in this country, 95% of the tabulations on these machines with proprietary software that you can't look at, it's called black box voting, does the same thing. They take a picture of the ballot, create an image, and then count that image. Kind of ties into Raji Rob's case, right? Mm-hmm. As soon as it goes through that machine, it automatically has a count ready in the back end of it.
Yeah, it stores it in the server.
Exactly. So what Brakey has done...
We're supposed to trust that. Election officials don't,
we don't have to
take
look
a peek at that 30 days before an election.
Yeah.
It's just in there.
And he always said early counting is early fraud. Why? Because if I got a count of what's going on, fam, it's kind of like the Amazon thing. I got the playbook. I know what areas to hit up. I know what to change. I know where we have to get some people out to do our work for us. It's like getting that playbook ahead of time. That's why counting, the law is it's not supposed to be done until Election Day. So there's a lot of fugazi stuff around there. Now, we've been trying to find more articles and stuff to read off and whatnot. I don't want to go into videos as much. We're trying to transition away from that. But there's not a lot of stuff out there where a lot of people who are reporting the stuff. Let me just say that the mainstream media and Rachel Maddow hasn't showed up to Maricopa County, Arizona to cover this. Neither has Wolf Blitzer. Neither has any of them.
What about the Humanist Report?
Nope, not Fredo or the Humanist Report.
What about Sam Cedar?
Not Sam Cedar. Oh. Nobody's talking about that.
Damn.
Right? So what's going on in Arizona?
Not even status douche.
What's that?
Not even status douche?
No. I love when you use the word douche canoe.
Jeez, not Anna. Okay.
Not
anyway,
TYT?
Not TYT?
No.
But she shows up to a NATO conference? Okay, anyway.
So really what's going on right now in the Arizona state legislation, they have so much backing from the people out there that want a real audit. Okay? That's what they're fighting for at the end of the day. They're not fighting for them to overturn the results. They're not fighting for them for Donald Trump. They're fighting for a real audit. In other words, the 90% of these people have said, listen, I don't care who won. I just want to know for sure that Joe Biden won, and I want you to show me your homework. That is it. They're fighting it. So what's been going on is that the Board of Supervisors, which is a subdivision of the state Senate, they've argued this back and forth, will not give them the information they need. They will not give them the ballot images or the data to let a third-party, independent party come in there and check the work. The state Senate is still fighting. They've ignored the subpoenas. So right now they were coming up to a vote to hold the Board of Supervisors of Maricopa County in contempt if they don't produce this stuff, right? So in other words, if you don't give us the stuff we want, we're going to start locking some motherfuckers up.
Damn,
Yeah.
son.
Now, Eddie Farnsworth, who's on a show right now, this is a local Arizona channel. He's going to explain everything that's going on. And this is just so telling because this is what's going on in the election integrity world. It tells you everything how the mainstream media dupes you into thinking that there is audits and recounts. It tells you like how you have to fight between the state and the board of supervisors and who's in control. If they have nothing to hide, give us the work, let us verify it, and we move the hell on. Eddie Farnsworth, who's an ex-senator who just recently retired, I'm talking a couple weeks ago, talks about the smoke and mirrors coming from the Board of Supervisors in Maricopa County and the way they bring in camera crews. They were actually opening up the machines, Glory, and the Maricopa County supervisors was filming that and putting it on their Facebook like, look, we're doing audits, and they see them opening up the machines. Now, if you know anything about the fucking elections and the tabulation machines, Johnny, it's not the hardware. It's the software.
Yeah, you know that's bullshit.
They literally do this. They put it on their Facebook. Okay, so let's take a look. This is Eddie Farnsworth with Ron Lutters and Ray Michaels, who have this local, small Arizona radio show. Listen to what they have to say.
Well, who ordered this? Who ordered the machines to be taken apart?
The scope of the subpoenas, both the ones I issued and then were reissued by Warren Peterson. The scope of the subpoenas was for an audit of the machine, an audit of the software, an audit of the ballots, etc. And so I would assume that this is a part of that. So the Board of Supervisors are the ones that decided what the scope of this so-called audit was going to be. I'll be very clear. This is not a broad forensic audit like the board has claimed.
Yes.
They are simply focusing on the machines and some of the software that they're checking, plus the audit functions on the machines to make sure that they can say, you know what, the machine functioned properly. And that's basically the scope of this so-called audit. So
well, but if they were programmed to do something specific and it did that, then you could still say, yeah, they did exactly what we asked them to do.
Correct. And I said that before on this program, that the machines themselves, there could be a problem, and we need to just do a cursory look at the machines. But people are going after the Dominion machines, and I've said the machines aren't the problem. Mm-hmm. Like you said, the machines are told what to do. Now, what were they told to do? That's the problem. Now, There could be a glitch in the hardware. That's probably not the case, but it's possible, so let's give a look. The concern that the Senate has is that this particular audit is not broad enough. So in the negotiations, one of the things that the Board of Supervisors wanted was that there was an EAC certified auditor. The Senate said, look, we're okay if you do an audit under the EAC. We don't have a problem with that. But never did the Senate agree that that was going to be the limited scope and that they weren't going to be able to do the audit themselves. This is the confusing part about this, and the Board of Supervisors is confusing it, that the subpoenas did not say we want the Board of Supervisors to do the audit. The subpoena said you need to provide this information and the machines so that we can do the audit.
Right.
And what they've done is essentially said, when we remember we've talked about we were in court case and then we both decided to put it aside. Both sides decided to do that, and then because the negotiations were going on, the Board of Supervisors agreed that they were going to provide the information. They even agreed that the legislature has the authority to issue the subpoenas, that the county is a political subdivision of the state, and that they would provide all the information that the Senate was requesting. So the court case was put on hold, and then as the Senate moved forward, the Board of Supervisors decided, oh, never mind, we've changed our mind, and we're going to do the audits, and you guys, we're not going to give you anything.
You know what this...
So the EAC is the Elections Assistance Commission. It's a national organization funded by the federal government when the HAVE Act came into play. And that was the George Bush clan. But here's the thing right now. They're really not a dependable kind of group. I kind of looked into them. They just give assistances, and they also decide like who gets to certify these machines and whatnot. So the same companies that certify these machines are the ones that are kind of doing the audit. You know what I'm saying? So it's not an audit. Once again, if they have to certify the Dominion machines before they go live for Election Day, they work with Dominion. Are they going to say anything is bad or point out anything?
It's like the cops investigating themselves.
Exactly.
Yeah, I know.
It's a
That's what I was
conflict
just
of
about to
interest.
say, to take kind of like a more, lefty framing to it. That's the equivalent of having a police commission to oversee investigations into police-involved shootings.
Absolutely. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. And the Board of Supervisors, once again, they are acting in bad faith. Why? You know what I'm saying? There's 5 of them right now, and they refuse to give over the information. If, in fact, you have nothing to hide, let us do the audit. And this is something that I really love that's going on, that the people of Arizona have not stopped. They have not slowed down. They've been pushing. So, yes, let's take a look at what the Board of Supervisors, how they're acting in bad faith over here. We'll start it at 9:24, John.
Board of Soups?
The Board of Soups.
Acting in bad faith?
Yeah.
No.
Nah, Gloria, you never witnessed
That is so unheard of.
that. You didn't have to wait for 9 hours.
Wasn't our experience with the Board of Supervisors so amazing and welcoming, guys?
The answer to your question is the Senate is not walking on eggshells. What we have, in my opinion, in my humble opinion, is that the Board of Supervisors negotiated this truce in bad faith. So if you remember the timeline, the subpoenas were issued by myself. Mm-hmm. Because we weren't in session, we could not declare contempt, which is what has to happen. Mm-hmm. And so and then the Board of Supervisors filed a lawsuit with the court. We responded, and we were in the middle of that fight, if you will, when we got past January 6th, and then the Board of Supervisors, through their attorneys, said, look, the election's over with, the Electoral College has been certified by the Congress, therefore, it's all moot, and you're going to drop your case. And the Senate said, no, we're not. In fact, we've issued new subpoenas. And so that was going on when the county board, through their attorney, said, okay, we want to settle, we want to negotiate, we want to give you what you're entitled to. We entered into negotiations in good faith. Apparently they did not.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
And that negotiation led to the Senate agreeing to kind of put the lawsuit on hold, and in good faith believing that the Board of Supervisors were going to give this information and the machines, et cetera, for an audit.
Pretty much. They didn't. They lied. And they used the COVID as cover once again because they couldn't be held in contempt because it was a closed session due to the COVID. So really they got away with lying and telling the people, listen, let's just certify, we'll go back, we'll revisit this, we can't hold this thing on. They duped the public, you know what I'm saying? And that's what I have the next part I put, ignoring the conflict of interest while duping the public. And this is important to point out, this part of the video, fam, because this is what they always do. They did it in Georgia, they did it in Michigan, they do it in Pennsylvania. They lie. It's like when I was interviewing somebody, I said, well, we haven't had a sufficient audit. He goes, I thought we had several audits. I'm like, we haven't had a sufficient audit yet. Not one. Not this election, not last election, not the election before. They hide behind proprietary software all the time. And that's why when a guy, John Brakey, comes in, he says, listen, voting is a private issue. Counting is a public issue. So those ballot images belong to the public. Give them to us. We want to make sure that you have the ample amount of votes to match up with what you reported. If Joe Biden won, we want to know. We want to look at your homework.
It should be a non-issue.
It should be. It should be an automatic. They shouldn't even have to demand. There should be an audit 100% after every single election. So check out this part right here as they ignore the
bullshit that the results were already certified, so it doesn't matter.
You heard that. Yeah.
Like, really?
You heard that.
Oh, this guy was already killed, so we can't investigate his death.
He's dead already.
What kind of bullshit logic is that? It's like, we're never going to move forward with our elections if we can't investigate what happened in the ones that took place.
Yeah.
No, and using that analogy, Gloria, is really I think makes more sense to people because it was a crime that was committed, right?
Yeah.
Right.
That Raji explains his case always with like, oh yeah, there's blood on the floor, there's blood everywhere, there's a dead body there,
yeah.
and you're not gonna allow an inspection of it. You know what I'm saying? Like
they did the same thing to him. Remember, they said, "Well, the election's been certified. Let's just move on." And Roger's
Right.
like, "To hell, I'm moving on." That doesn't change the fact that you could have potentially cheated.
The
Show us your
establishment
work.
does that too. They did it to Maria Estrada when she was questioning
Oh yeah.
the
her
guy
election.
who is the lawsuit against certified the election, and the judge is like, yeah, okay,
Yeah. No.
It wouldn't change the result anyway.
No, it wouldn't. Yeah, that's the delegate math of the DNC. There was cheating. There was major malfeasance. There were institutional players, Fiorella. But the math wouldn't matter. So we're just going to let the results stand.
Yeah, they literally say that.
Not mentioning any names, David Atkins. Next part.
That is the legislature. That is the Senate. So the Senate was moving forward saying, fine, do your audit. You can have an EAC certified. Now, let's be very clear. The EAC does not certify auditors. These are not auditors. And there's a conflict of interest because these companies are the ones that certify the Dominion machines.
So when you say they're not auditors and they're not certified auditors, what are they then?
They're certified by the EAC to certify the machines, that the machines are working properly.
So are they employees of the machine companies?
No, they contract with the machine company. So Dominion is the machine company.
Okay.
These are separate companies. They're independent, and there are two. There's SLI, and then there's Pro V&V. They are the companies that contract with Pro V&V more than SLI, is my understanding, but they contract with Dominion to certify the machine. So when they go in, there has to be a certification. They go in, look at it to make sure that the machine is working the way it's supposed to, and the
To
software
the
that it's
standards
doing.
of Dominion or whichever company
Of the
it is.
EAC. Yes.
Let me interject.
So is that a conflict of interest?
Yes.
Yes. And let
Absolutely.
me interject here. As many of you know, I have been an auditor. I have been an auditor for the Auditor General's Office of the State of Arizona, which, by the way, works for the legislature, as you know.
That is correct.
And I have been there. I've been auditing in many governmental positions. And this is not an audit, ladies and gentlemen. It's a total misnomer. They're calling it an audit. It is not an audit. I call it a review. And later on, we're
It's
going
almost
to,
like a recertification, right? Because they
Yes.
certified it at the start,
Yes.
and now they're just going to recertify
this is
it.
exactly
this is
what
not
they're
an
doing.
audit
Okay.
process
Yes.
they're going through.
That's exactly what they're doing. And again, even if it were an audit, which it is not, but even if it were an audit, they have a conflict of interest. They're the ones that certify the machines to begin with.
Yeah,
Exactly. So even if it were an audit, they shouldn't be doing it anyway.
And Johnny, I just put the websites up for the two companies because this is important right now. When somebody goes, "Oh, we had an audit," right? Not the EAC. I'm sorry, the SLI and Pro V&V. When somebody says, "Oh, there was an audit," just ask, "Well, who did the audit?" If you know it's SLI, if you know it's Pro V&V, you know it's full of shit.
No, it's not an audit.
It's not an audit.
It's like, okay, the machines are perfect. Everyth's fine. That's
it
what
works
it is.
right now.
Everything works great.
And they literally go out and they dupe the public into telling them
Right.
they had an audit. It's
Even
not
prominent
true.
journalists, people who don't know about election integrity, they read that, they're like, wait a minute, there's been audits everywhere. I don't know what evidence you guys are talking about, right?
Yeah.
Like, we've had many audits.
Yeah,
They've proved
there's
this all.
been recounts and audits.
Yeah.
There you go.
So
There
that's
has it.
SLI.
And when the journalist there was like, "Is that a conflict of interest?" It's like, yeah, it is, because they
Duh.
are contracted by Dominion.
Yes.
That's like
Yes.
Convo Couch contracting somebody to clip up our clips, right?
Yes.
There's gonna be some type of conflict of interest.
Exactly.
There,
Yes.
That's-
It's exactly what it is.
The police metaphor is the best one. I mean,
Yeah.
it's the same. You can't do that. You
Yeah.
can't have bank
Yeah.
robbers investigating themselves.
Yeah. If SLI or Pro V&V, which is one of the bigger ones right now, if Pro V&V said these machines aren't working good, they're not really well, then they'll never get the contract to certify the
Right.
machines again. Then they're out
Exactly.
of business.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They're out of business. So, of course, 99.99% they'll be like, well, this button doesn't work. Maybe next time. But
Yeah.
other than that, they might find something to tackle at. But once again, and they're
There's
approved
been
by
an
the
audit.
EAC.
Don't worry, guys.
Yeah. That's how stupid this whole situation is. But I just wanted to put out the names. SLI, Pro V&V. It's time we start naming these contracts like
That's
K
so
and H.
Illuminati. Look
Yeah.
at their look. That's
Johnny,
so
don't get us
Illuminati. Look at
taken
that-
Johnny
down
Illuminati.
now
Look
with
at that logo.
your-
Johnny Rabbit Hole, don't you
Yeah.
do it.
Come on,
see
Johnny,
these four
stop.
little-
Johnny Rabbit Hole,
Hold
don't
on.
go down it.
You guys see these little four circles here? What is that? I need to get HD JPEG from Pro VMV, please. I need to see that because you guys can clearly see that, right?
No, I see one circle.
All right, so that's my wording up here. So now we have established that it's not an audit, right?
Right.
The Board of Supervisors is a subdivision of the state, meaning that the state Senate has the authority over the Board of Supervisors. The Board of Soup refuses to let an independent third-party audit take place. The Senate then met Monday to hold a vote to place the Board of Supervisors in contempt,
Which they
meaning
were.
you don't give me the information, you go to jail. They thought they had a 16-14 advantage because there were 16 Republicans, 14 Democrats, and they agreed to go this way. But one Republican flipped, yielding a 15-15 deadlock. Food for thought, though. Before this vote, the Board of Supervisors actually went to the state courts to try to get a restraining order against the state Senate to prevent the vote.
Wow.
They literally went and tried to do that.
Wow.
That didn't
TRO,
work.
Huh?
But either way, I mean, you cannot make this shit up.
This is like mafia shit.
This was Monday.
This is literally what they did in Raji's case.
Yes,
They
literally
try to get Dean Logan and the Board of Supervisors try to get a
restraining order.
Judge
Exactly.
denied it the first time and then approved it. A protective order.
Ridiculous.
Specifically for the logs.
Yeah.
Specifically for the logs.
For the logs. And it's ridiculous that you can be a subdivision of another political entity and you can get a restraining order against them when you're that subdivision of that political entity. So now the one state senator who flipped, Johnny, it's kind of funny because they didn't expect it. He asked for police protection due to threats on himself and his family. They did the typical Democratic thing. He's under, that's it. He's being threatened. I need the police. They're like, dude, there's going to be political ramifications to pay. We ain't coming after you that way. So take a look at this little video. This is on the local news right here, Arizona.
Stakes are high. It's not unusual for the debate to be passionate and forceful.
Yeah, it was the case in the state Senate on Monday. What was unusual was the tone of some lawmakers perceived as threatening by others.
As ABC 15's Mark Phillips reports, that led one member to get police protection for himself and his family.
The political fireworks between state Senate Republicans and the Maricopa County Board of Supervisors had already led to at least one board member receiving police protection.
No elected official, whether at the county board level or at the state legislative level, should have to have a police presence outside of their personal homes.
At the time State Senator Paul Boyer said those words, Boyer had just announced he was a no vote on a resolution to hold the Maricopa County Board of Supervisors in contempt.
It's critical that we, the state Senate, and the County Board of Supervisors find a way to amicably work together.
The board refuses to turn over everything demanded by the Senate as part of its investigation into alleged voter fraud. Boyer's change of heart did not go over well with Republicans. Democrats could only watch.
When one person in their own caucus decides to stand up to them, they're targeted.
Steele said Boyer was subjected to an hour of rhetorical abuse and what she and others perceived as threats from members of his own caucus.
If you say you're going to vote along with your caucus and then you do not, your word is never going to be trusted again. So now it's in the hands of the public. And I'm understanding that several groups that were independent have recently formed a coalition to take care of this on their own.
Senator Townsend said she was not advocating violence. Her threat was political.
I was very specific about what I meant, that these are issues that we can't apparently take care of at the Senate on our own. So there's another avenue, and that's the public. They can get things on the ballot and they can recall people.
In a text, Senator Boyer told me, after hearing about Townsend's comments, I immediately became worried for my family. I've never reached out to DPS before for a police presence until yesterday. Senator Martin Quezada says, given the times, Townsend's remarks were irresponsible.
The only thing that should happen is she needs to be held accountable and right away.
Mark Phillips, ABC 15, Arizona.
It's another Democrat calling for more censorship. Hold her accountable. Take her Twitter down.
Yeah.
Take her Twitter down.
It's violence. Everything's violence now. Everything against the established narrative is violence.
Yeah.
It's misinformation.
Yeah, I know. So the GLP lawmaker kills contempt citation for Maricopa County supervisors. Let's take a look at his reasons right now, because once again, this is them just requesting all the stuff that they subpoenaed, right? They have every right to get it. The state Senate is above the Maricopa County Board of Soups. They're going to hold them in contempt, and he flips. And he says, Phoenix, a bid by Senate Republicans to hold Maricopa County supervisors in contempt faltered Monday as one GOP lawmaker refused to go along. Senator Paul Boyer of Phoenix said he believes the Senate Senator Paul Boyer of Phoenix said he believes the Senate does have the power to use its subpoena power to demand access to the voting machines and ballots from the last election. The authority is clear and will be used if necessary, he said. But Boyer said he believes that power should be used sparingly and reluctantly. More to the point, Boyer said he believes the county is willing to conduct an additional audit of the results of the November 3rd election. They already did 4 of them, and they were fugazi, so why would they do that again? To answer questions about whether the reported results giving the edge to Joe Biden was accurate. What's needed, he said, is a judge to issue an order clearing the way for the access that the senators seek rather than a contempt citation. And that is just bullshit. Somebody got to him. Somebody flipped him because he knows damn well the judge won't give that order. The judges never give that order. You can hold them in contempt. Nobody's going to go to jail as long as they comply with the state Senate. So his arguments are bullshit. Complete, utter bullshit. Anybody have anything to say to that? Because I got some more news what's going to happen right now.
I mean, when did demanding transparency with elections become so blasphemous to people?
Yeah, it's ridiculous. But that's what I love what's going on in Arizona right now, because the people are behind it. So the people in Arizona are now going what I'm calling recall crazy. All right. They are currently gathering signatures to recall all 5 Board of Supervisors, Senator Paul Boyer, who flipped, the Superintendent Kathy Hoffman, the Secretary of State Kathy Hobbs, and the Governor Doug Ducey. Listen to this group right here. We lost it. They took it down. I would say listen to the people roar. This was just at a group. They were announcing what they're going after, who they're trying to go after, and you can hear the people just roar. They want the Board of Soups out. They want Paul Boyer out. They want Doug Ducey out. They want the Secretary of State gone, the superintendent fired. It doesn't make a difference to them right now. All they want is this audit. They want a clean audit. They want to know, not Gloria. They want to know that those results are good.
I'm like a little weirded out that the uploader took down the video. That's really weird.
Because it's got to be, once again, they announced Doug Ducey is now going to be going to face a recall if they can get the signatures. The thing that's really crazy right now, and I showed Johnny yesterday too as well, that there's this group that's doing it. In Arizona, it's called a wet ink gathering. You need to get ink on paper. People have to sign it with their pens. You can't do anything online. You can't get any of those forms. You can't get anything. You have to get out there and hit the ground. So somebody asked her, they said, how many people you got working? They're like over 1,000 already. Donations are coming around worldwide, not just in the country. I showed Johnny a clip where they got some money. Somebody from Peru reached out to them. Somebody from Australia. There's people out there that want to see a real audit. They want to see them get in there for once and for all and check their homework. We never get this. We just saw a case with Raji Rag, right? We don't get this, and this audit might take weeks if they have to verify every single one of these ballots. But that's what they got to do right now, because there's a new tactic. When you are able to shotgun out all these ballots and all these companies have all these extra ballots, you're going to have extra fugazi ballots in the machines. They want to make sure they match up and they're right.
Yeah. I mean, I wish we could have more robust audits like that. That's amazing.
Yeah. If we get it. The question was, will we get it? I don't know.
And the worst part is they're painting it like, oh, he was this woman was violent. That this is now I'm threatened. They're doing the whole theatrics that the Democratic Party is doing right now with regard to the Capitol 6 riot, with regard to the trauma they experience, and they're how they're editing these videos and stuff to make it look like, oh my God, these people are doing the same thing, and now they can, because now you set the precedent that a difference in ideology or questioning elections is violent now. And that's why that precedent is dangerous, no matter how you feel about the election, no matter whether you're a Republican or a Democrat or whatever. Like, it's dangerous to weaponize something like an event and use it for political capital, which is exactly what the entire establishment in D.C. is right now. They're doing.
Yeah. Arizona's making a good play. They're like, we're not coming after you violently. We're not coming out in front of your house. We'll leave that up to the activists. We're going to recall your ass.
Yeah.
We're going to recall you, and we're going to make... And I can't believe this hasn't gone national yet. Why? They don't have the signatures yet. But once they get those signatures, you can't hide this anymore. If they get the actual recall signatures, which it's a different amount of signatures for each position, for the governor, for the board of supervisors, for the superintendent, and the secretary of state, I haven't got those exact details yet, but if they get them, forget about it. They can't hide this anymore, and this is all about transparency, free and fair elections, and proper audits. No more duping the public. The great thing about this, closing this show, I could have made this whole section and featured John Roberts Brakey. He's been on the show before. They call it the Brakey method. He's the one who kind of saw that they take these digital images and said, because there was so much fight in a lot of these counties, fam, where they don't want to give over the ballots because they don't want to give up your information, right? They want to keep your secret. They want to keep your privacy there. So he said, well, look, give me the ballots, and it's the digital ballots, and it's been going on for a long time. In closing, the Libertarian Party, with the help of John Roberts Brakey, has also filed a lawsuit against the Maricopa County Board of Supervisors because they wouldn't allow them in the room. Does that sound familiar? This tactic is used everywhere.
Yep.
They wouldn't allow them in the room for the audit.
As observers.
As observers.
Which is like the law.
The law.
Yes.
Not just
there,
Dems
like
and
there are
Republicans.
state statutes. Like when I was auditing for Jen Perlman's primary in Broward County, like I was walking around with the Florida statute that said we are legally allowed to observe the closing procedures.
They kicked us out of the room, Glory. They kicked us out of the room. Nobody knows the law, and what do? They capitulate and shill for the goddamn establishment. This is the last video, and we'll get you out of here because this is just another, like, listen, we're going to hit you from all sides. We're not just going to rely on the state Senate. We're going to hit you with lawsuits. We're going to keep it at you. We're going to recall your ass until we get that audit. Remember, 22 months, according to Section 1974 of the Constitution, which says that 22 months, all materials in the election, including envelopes, must be held. So they're not letting down. They know it's in front of them. They're going to keep fighting until we get what they want. Even if this doesn't go back and change the election and they get it a year later, it's going to set a precedent for audits, and it will show the world and the country that our elections are a bunch of crap.
Yeah, that's the point, right?
It's
not about making Trump the president. This is about setting a precedent for the future.
Yeah. And it's a shame that the Bernie Sanders people who are now crying that they're getting screwed in their goddams, their elections where they're getting screwed
California
over again.
Democratic delegate elections.
They're getting screwed over that they're not leading the charge on it, that it's a bunch of Trumpers or patriots, whatever you want to call them nowadays, okay, that they're leading the charge because their guy got screwed. Your guy got screwed twice, and what did you do? You did nothing.
Fugazi.
You got ugats. The Libertarian Party and Brandon Slayton. Check them out.
You know, Pasta, I'm not comfortable with your use of the word patriot, so you're a Nazi collaborator.
Sorry.
Mother Nazball.
Arizona is a party-centric state, and that means that the political parties have a very important responsibility ensuring the election integrity, counting, all the transparency, everything. The chairs of the political parties are allowed to appoint observers. As someone who was in there in the audit, in the hand count, in the logic and accuracy testing, in the whole process, I don't know what's happening. So regular people who are getting their information from the media and they're seeing the elections department performing these audits, which technically they're not audits, they're misinforming the people what is actually going on. Last Tuesday on Facebook, the county elections department made a post saying that it was the first day of this forensic audit and that representatives from both parties, political parties, were there. I was very upset. Immediately emailed county election officials and said, why wasn't the Libertarian Party allowed representation? Because at this point, I'm thinking we were left out. I was thinking that Republicans and Democrats were there based on that post. Turns out, no one was there. I got a response from the election director, Ray Valenzuela, and he said that the Board of Supervisors, due to COVID, due to not wanting any disturbances, which I think that's a little bit worse than COVID, from my opinion, that the Board of Supervisors basically outlined the stakeholders, and it was the Governor's Office, Secretary of State, Attorney General, House and Senate, and the League of Women Voters. League of Women Voters are a phenomenal organization, but they're not election experts. And what they're doing is nothing more than theater. On last Wednesday, I don't know if you guys follow them on Facebook, but you should. They're posting videos of people taking apart machines with screwdrivers. What does that do? You see that, and you're misinformed. You think that the county did multiple audits. You think that everything has passed the smell test, and all it is political theater. So with the leadership of other libertarians and John Brakey, we did file suit against the Board of Supervisors yesterday, and the county recorder it's a simple, straightforward case, and it basically alleges that we deserve to be there. They excluded us, and we deserve to be there. We put forward a lot of different evidence, and the thing that I think sticks the most to me is that the county board of supervisors put forward a public notice, where in this public notice they specify that participation from all three political parties is needed as community stakeholders.
Well, I didn't want to get into that lawsuit yet because I told John Brakey that if he wants to come on the show, John Roberts Brakey, JRB, we're calling him. We're trying to get him a little bit more hip, Glory. JRB, he might be coming on the show and breaking down that thing. We might do just like a little small recorded interview, kind of break it down because that guy can talk forever. I love him. But also, I just want to last part. Do you see what the Libertarian Party was talking about too as well?
Yeah.
The opening up of the machines.
Yeah.
It's theater. It's theater. They don't, and they duped the public. They did that 100%, fam, because what you said yesterday, they think you're stupid.
They do.
They think you're dumb.
And
they really do.
Yeah. And some people can't, they're not, this is a lot of, to try to even understand this stuff. Like, you have to take the time, and
it's
most people don't
too.
have it. Yeah, that too. But
Trite.
like, it's just tedious, It's just tedious.
Let's close it up with the Libertarian Party member, Brandon Slayton, the chair of the Arizona Libertarian Party, telling us why it's important to do the homework here. And we'll finish up the show.
Yes,
it ain't boring to me, Pastor.
Access, it's easier for us to then argue that what's happening is not true audits. It's my goal to really drive that home. We can't let them pervert what a real audit is. A real audit, or an audit, is basically like what Ron has said. It's about compliance. Are you following processes, et cetera, et cetera? The only way that we will ever really know the true vote totals is by releasing the ballot images. For my mind, once we have the parties involved, it's very important that we know what we're looking for. People like the League of Women Voters is not going to know what to look for. People like John Brakey, who I appointed as my elections expert and the Libertarian Observer, knows what to look for. And I actually have a hunch that they knew that I was going to be appointing John Brakey, and that is why they kind of changed the rules and didn't let anyone in. I can't prove that, but that is what my gut tells me. So once we have access and we're observing the audit and they redo the audit, or hopefully redo the audit, we have a stronger case to then make an argument that what they're doing isn't necessarily a real audit. Outside of that, we have to educate the public. We need to know how elections are operated, and that doesn't just mean where to put your ballot. It's really about the process of how it's counted. Mm-hmm. We need people involved in the logic and accuracy test. We need people to volunteer for the hand count, which is a technical audit that they do, but there are flaws with it that we won't go into. One of the things that you can do is contact.
That was it. I mean, I just wanted to say, see the way he filled it up. We have to learn this shit. I said it yesterday. We have to be election integrity activists, all of us, right now. Right now, today, we can't wait. And that doesn't mean just, where do I take my ballot to? Will you harvest it for me? You're part of the Bernie campaign. Can I give you my ballot, fam? Go ahead and take it in. Well, what could possibly go wrong? We got to learn this shit inside and out.
Possibly go wrong from a third party that's somehow connected to the Democratic Party, going around collecting ballots en masse without telling anybody what the chain of custody is. What could go wrong?
Yeah. And let me point out that John Roberts Brakey is a progressive Democrat. He's a progressive Democrat, but he'll work with anybody. anybody across any party lines.
Well, what a Nazi. How dare he?
I know, right? He'll work with anybody to get some free, fair
Fucking
elections
fascist.
with the proper audits. It's time to rock and roll. John Roberts Brakey. I'm glad. And let me tell you something. Throughout this whole process, fam, there's been people who have been like, no, it wasn't cheated because they hated Trump so much. The TDS was there. They refused to say there was cheating. This guy's a progressive Democrat. Now, there's some things I disagree with him. He wants to have another hearing where he brings out a lot of Democratic people in that are for election integrity. I said, I don't give a shit, because he wants to try to convince establishment Democrats to get aboard with this. They're never going to get on board like that. They know what's going on. They choose to turn their heads and a blind eye. They're choosing to do this. They're not dumb. So I think it's a waste of time for him to do that. He wants to do something like that. But at the end of the day, the guy's willing to get in there, work with libertarians, Republicans, whoever it is, to have clean, fair, and transparent elections.
Wow. That was enlightening. Nice. I didn't know it was that serious. Like, it was that much of a battle.
That was a great segment.
Yeah, that was a great
segment. It's been a great show.